Hi dear Truth Warriors, and welcome back again to the channel. Today I want to open up the discussion on those of you who are in the interim period of leaving a narcissistic relationship and redefining yourself, refinding yourself as well. So this is a very trying, a very challenging period to be in, because on one hand, cognitively, you realize what you have been through. You realize that you have been through horrific abuse, but your emotions are telling you, give it one last shot. Maybe I can knock some sense into them. Maybe I can make them see my side of the story. Maybe. And this is a very, very frustrating time as well, because your thoughts and your emotions are just not resonating with each other. They are not in alignment with each other. So the question that usually comes up around this interim period is, can I fix the narcissist? Can I love them back to health? And the quick answer to that is no, you cannot. And you shouldn't even try to waste your time and your energy and your own inner resources on getting the narcissist back to health. This is just, it is a task that will never be completed, because the narcissist bases their life's existence on manipulating, hoovering, gaslighting you, abusing you. This is what they base their whole existence on. So it's not so much about caring how they impact you with the abuse. All they care about is, how can you benefit me? And they will throw in all manner of craziness to get you back into the relationship. They will mess with your mind even more, mess with your emotions even more, to get you to re-enter the relationship. And if you have children with them, they will use the children as pawns in that relationship to play on your heartstrings. So I understand the predicament you're in. I went through it myself. Not that I had children with my narcissistic boyfriend, but I do get the cognitive dissonance that you go through when you're trying to align your thoughts with your emotions. It is virtually impossible, especially when you are half out and half in the relationship. And this is why it is so important. I'm not the only one who says this. There are very many people on YouTube who say this. Break all contact. And if you have children with the narcissist, then keep contact to a bare minimum. Don't let them re-enter your thought space, re-enter your emotions. This is just a no-go when you're trying to heal and when you're trying to make a clean break. So a narcissist has a certain perception about the world, and they hold certain unrealistic beliefs about themselves. And so what happens is, because they hold these beliefs about themselves, because they hold this twisted belief about the world around them, it makes it impossible for you to break through that wall. It is absolutely impossible, because they hold themselves at a very unrealistic standard in life, and they expect you to succumb to their every whim, to succumb to their every demand. So this is where you are giving up your power in order to try and knock sense into them, in order to try and make them see your side of the story, your perception of what is going on. So a narcissist has no control of their life, absolutely no control. They are only focused on, what is it that the other person can do for me? And you know, this is their goal in life, is to control you, is to control your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings. And because they know they are in this total control, they can work you like a puppet on a string. You know, the statistics say that I think it's for men and women, go back to an abusive relationship on an average of 7 times before they make that clean break. And in this in this period of going back 6, 7, 8 times is where you suffer the most cognitive dissonance. So it's very important that you break away, that you limit all contact with them. Of course, you know, again, I've said this many times, when you have children with them, then there is no way you can break all of that contact. But it is important that when you see them face to face, when you deliver your children to them for, you know, a week mum or a week dad, when you, a week meaning, I'm not meaning week, I'm meaning, you know, when they go away for a week's break or a weekend with the narcissistic mother or father, it is very, very important to stick to the topics involving the children. Don't be caught up in their mind games. Don't play into their whims. Don't play into the fact that they may be playing the victim, that they may have these crocodile tears. This is all a game to the narcissist. Do not forget this. And the sooner you understand this, the more the fog is going to lift from your brain and the way you perceive the relationship that you're in. Any relationship with a narcissistic life partner or a narcissistic spouse is based on an illusion. And the moment that they start abusing you, they have relinquished all their rights to be called your life partner or your husband or your wife. They have forfeited all of that. By abusing you, they have given up that right to be your husband or your wife or your life partner. So it's not about you trying to fix them. It's not about you trying to love them back to health. This is not your task. The only task that you have is for you. That is your only obligation, to get yourself out of this abuse, to love yourself, to have compassion for yourself, to get yourself back to a place where you feel grounded, where you see the world through your own glasses and not through the glasses of the narcissist, where you get to make decisions based on your core values and not on the values of the narcissist, because they don't have any values. They don't have any values whatsoever. They only have intentions, and their intentions are sadistic, and they are out to get in control of you and maintaining control over you. So what do we do when we are trying to break away from these relationships? Is that we go back because the sex was so wonderful. At least maybe that's what we think. Maybe the sex isn't that wonderful. Maybe it's just mediocre sex. And we think by going back and sleeping with them again, that we can make them see our side, that we can make them see just how wonderful we are, how loving we are, that we are deserving of love. So, you know, sex is a very powerful tool. It is a very powerful energy. But I would advise you, and I've made this mistake myself, by going back and having sex with this person in the hope that they would see me for who I truly was, and that we could then further build on our relationship. But stop doing that. It is not dignified. It is not respectful towards yourself to go back and give your body, heart and soul to the very person who abused you. Another thing that we try to do, I know this wasn't in my case when I broke up with the narcissistic boyfriend very many years ago, but another thing that I often hear on a daily basis from beautiful men and women who are breaking or trying to break away from these very abusive relationships is that they look for couples counseling, they look for relationship therapy, they try and get the narcissist to go with them to therapy. I realize where this is coming from. You know, when you think that you are madly in love with someone, when you think that you cannot live without this person, then you will just grab onto anything that gives you a tiny bit of hope, and you will want them to come with you to therapy, again in the hope that they're going to see the bigger picture and that they are going to realize and take responsibility of the abuse that they have inflicted on you. But this is all an illusion. You know, even the fact that you may feel absolute joy from receiving a text message from them. You know, where I've often said, block them on your phones, block them on from receiving texts, just block them on all levels. And then it's in our human nature to go back and unblock them just to see what they're going to do. And then that first text message comes in after a couple of weeks and we are in absolute euphoria. It's just sick. It's an illusion that you have bought into, and this all has to do with the conditioning and programming that the narcissist has been doing for months or for years. You have been programmed to think a certain way, to feel a certain way, to be a certain way. So when there is the threat of you having to break off this relationship, that is when we get into a panic. And we think, how am I going to live without this person? Who am I without this person? I need to go back because that's my safe place. You know, abuse can become addictive. When you don't know any better, you will keep going back to the place where you were abused, where you were hurt. But that is not the place that you are going to find your healing. So because it feels normal, because it's the feeling that you are accustomed to, you will keep going back. And then they will hurt you again because they play on your emotions, because they play the victim, because they know what to say at the right time to get into your head again, and to therefore, and by doing so, they're playing on your emotions. So you are being thrown backwards and forwards, and you lose your grounding, you lose your footing. This is what narcissists are excellent at. They've had a lifetime to practice this kind of abuse. And you need to realize that abuse is abuse. When someone calls out your name, when someone calls you a bitch, when someone calls you an asshole, when someone plays with your mind space, devalues you, discards you, then hoovers you back in. When people do this, when narcissists do this, these are their true colors. This is what they are showing you. So no matter how often you try to go back and make things right, this is just, it's a task that you should not even spend or waste your time and energy on. It is all an illusion. So the most important thing is knowing that when you keep going back to these relationships, you are giving your power away and you are feeding the narcissist's very sadistic ego. It's also that you are building your whole existence on their sick self-esteem. This is in fact what is going on. Your whole existence, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your core values, or the lack of core values, everything you are building on their very sick self-esteem. So this is where the pattern, it's a pattern. It needs to be interrupted. And the pattern could have been caused in childhood. If you grew up in a dysfunctional home, you've been programmed to be a certain way, think a certain way, feel a certain way, and to put your life in the hands of someone else, to base all of who you think you are on someone else's existence. And this is just not a safe, and it's not a healthy place to be in. So having said that, you know, it is very important to interrupt that pattern. It is very important to go no contact. And yes, you will go through absolute hell. You will go through pain. You will go through not understanding the situation. You will go through a whole range of emotions. And because it is so painful, you will want to go back to the narcissist because that's where you think your pain is being soothed. But it is just giving them an opportunity to abuse you even more. So yes, it is a very trying interim period to go through. But the more often you go back, the more deeper you are going to sink into this, sink under their spell. You know, it's a spell that we are under. This is the energy that they're giving off. It's a very low frequency energy. And this is what we get caught up in. So some people call it enchanted. I call it being under the narcissistic spell. Is that we will want to go back because we believe, we have been conditioned to believe that we will feel better by going back. But this is the spell that needs to be broken. This is where the fog needs to be lifted. simply by stepping away, and to realize, knowing beforehand, that you are going to go through tremendous emotional pain. You are going to feel so devalued, you are going to feel unworthy. But these are the same emotions that you felt when you were in this relationship. And this is the only way to do it, is by going through that pain, sitting in all of those emotions. Because emotions or feelings are very important in deciphering what it is that we really need to look at. Emotional pain is showing us that there is an inner wound that has been ripped open, and it needs to be addressed and it needs to be healed. And you cannot heal in the same place where you were abused. So to come back to the huge question that is often asked, as you know, as I started the video, can I fix the narcissist? No, you cannot. They are not worried about you. They are not concerned about you. They are only concerned about themselves. And you should not waste your time and energy trying to make them think, feel, or live otherwise. So break off all contact. And again, if you have children with them, keep contact to a bare minimum. Focus on you. Look at what it is that makes you tick. What do you find important in life? What do you not find important in life? You know, these are great core values that we need to all look at, because once you gain clarity on your core values, you will not tolerate or accept abuse from anyone else. When you treat yourself with respect, with compassion, with understanding, with love, which are all the great qualities that you have within you, when you treat yourself that way, it is going to make it impossible for the abusive person to treat you any other way, because you will just not be accepting of it. So I don't believe so much that we attract abuse into our lives, but I do believe that when abuse shows up, and we are those codependents and we are empaths and we do not have a sense of who we are, then we accept the abuse in our life. So healing is all about getting clarity on your core values, getting clarity about the fact that you are in an abusive relationship. And when you rediscover who you are and when you truly embrace who you are, that is when you will no longer be accepting or tolerating of abuse in your life. So again, I understand the pain that you're going through and the pain that you are afraid to go through, but pain is where we are going to be cracked open, and that's where the light can come in. You know, that's a beautiful quote. I don't know who said it, I don't know who wrote it, but it is a beautiful quote where when your heart is cracked open, that's when the light can be poured in, and that is when you can heal. So hold on to yourself, go through that pain, and I promise you it does get better when you self-reflect, when you shower yourself with self-care, when you understand what you have been through, and when you get clarity on your core values. This is when you can start to move forward. And a year down the line, 2 years down the line, you're going to look back on this interim period of your life and think, what the hell was I thinking? Why did I put myself through that? But you have to go through the storm in order to come out clean and refreshed on the other side. For now, take care of yourselves, and look forward to speaking to you all very soon.